Okay, I just finished this. This is another one of the PATRON lottery gifts. So one PATRON member is gonna win this, and I hope he appreciates it, because I worked like crazy with all these textures and to get it right. It's hard to see actually on video because the color seems to be a little bit distorted, but he's gonna get a nice surprise. I hope that you can remember to share my videos on social media, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, put them into your playlists, yeah, and there's also a button down there to my Patreon if you want to be a patron, support my work and channel. There's also a subscription button that is important, and a playlist and different stuff. So with this, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more, because there will be more. Yay, there I am again. I'm gonna paint this coon. I had a problem finding the sweet spot, so it is actually balancing on the tip. It's going to be on this canvas, the small one, and I'm going to paint it, and it's going to be the second gift to my patrons this month. So stay cool, and here we go. Starting. Okay, here we go. The thing with coons is that they have, of course, been in the sea, so they have gone through all that motion and the salt and the sea and everything, the elements, water, and it makes them really beautiful. It's almost like an onion in a way. They are already beautiful paintings long before I start painting them. So in a way, it is just start paint. Maybe this became a little bit too big. I want to have it, keep it inside here, down here, that line. This is quite a small canvas here, which of course gives me different problems, because as I said that I always want to make things bigger. Something in me, things to be big, huge, but that is not always the smart thing. So I'm going to go here, try to keep it small. This one. This is a very good training. It's almost like you should do some of these smaller paintings all the time. I also do get quite good prices for them, because it seems like it doesn't take much effort now in the beginning, but believe me, when I start getting into detail, really start to become time consuming. There's a line there. There's a line. I used 2 old bricks in the background, because the textures in the bricks can actually resemble the texture in the coon. So the thing is that the coon is more white and has this pearly thing with it. And the bricks has gone through all the building process with all the smut and all the stuff. So you get in a way two different kinds of objects that are very much alive in the texture. Not alive of course, but in the texture they are very much alive, kicking. I have no idea how many coons have been painted. And it's like apples, and it's like the onions. I really can't ever seem to get it right, and I keep trying. So, yeah. Now some lucky, some PATRON guy, girl or man wins this. I know one of them is going to win it, that they are pleased with it. I think I'm going to increase the size now on my paintings on PATRON a little bit, because there are more patrons now, and I think they should get a bigger prize. And as it now grows, I will start adding more. But I do get good prices for these paintings in Norway, and it will take a little bit of time before I start earning anything close to what I could get in a gallery for it in one of my exhibitions. Because these are kind of in the 10 or 8,000 kroner class, and that is basically $1,000. And right now I need basically 150 more patrons to get to that price, if everybody pays $5 a piece. So, but that's okay, I can live with that for a while. I also have to pay, of course, the galleries and stuff, so I'm not losing that much, but I'm not actually losing, I'm earning. So as I say, I mean, a painting is just paint until it's sold. It's not money until it's sold. So I guess that is with every commodity or everything you sell. But when you know you can get a certain amount of price for it, you might want to get that price. Anyway, blah blah blah. Enough about PATRON. Back to the paint. It's also nice to work with different. It's like I like to work with different surfaces and different colored surfaces. So I don't use, in a way, one type of background or one type of. I try to vary it. I also have a white wall here, and I have some dead birds and stuff in my fridge. So, and some heads actually of sheeps and with horns. So I wonder if I'm gonna paint them up against the white of the wall and on the mirror, so it becomes totally different from this again. And I have to say, this is what I say to every single person who asks me about painting. Start doing this object painting. It's so good for the eyes, to evolve your vision and your sense of shape. And then you will take that with you into when you work on human figures, and on, and you get the freedom here, maybe even a little bit bigger freedom to work with textures and structures and colors. You can take a little bit more freedoms than you can with a human being. Human beings are definitely the most difficult to paint. I mean, and animals too, if you want to paint. Like when I painted that dog, I not just paint a dog, I tried to paint the dog. I actually have a very beautiful photograph of my own dog, Timian. He died a few years ago, sadly. It's a sad day. A few times I actually cried. And I wonder if I'm going to paint him. He was so smart. See his eyes just beaming, asking questions without knowing it, of course. I mean, he lived with me, so strange person. Anyway, back to painting. You see here I start ranting again about the life and everything. And this is supposed to be about painting. So no wonder my YouTube channel doesn't take off like a eagle or something. I keep on ranting about my everything from existence to my love life instead of paint. I see this was a faster process because it wasn't all the leaves and stuff. So now I have kind of the basis in there. And now I will start to mold the other things. I went straight from painting the apple to painting this, so, and I did that hard taekwondo training with my trainer from Iran side, and I can feel my legs are a little bit sore because I also have the arthritis. So, but then again, I'm trying to get flexible again without operation, and I'm working hard on that, and I think I'm gonna maybe become quite okay without operation. Let's see. Blah 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 blah. Well, now I'm building, you see, I'm building in different directions, and I will keep doing that. Like in the coon, you have directions, things that go down and around, and there's many things like that to think about. So it's like this, but then I will build a lot of texture. Here you have the pearly surface, this very smooth, beautiful surface. So first coon I've actually painted on my YouTube channel. I will do more of them, bigger. I have some big ones. I will start doing actually more of my still life and object paintings, but I also have a lot of very nice figure paintings going. So there will be many videos, and it's kind of my way to, if I died, I mean, I don't know how it works, but if I died, my daughter could take over and just let videos stay on YouTube, and maybe someday somebody would really appreciate it. Well, I know that some people appreciate it, actually. There's not many dislikes on my channel, so that's good. I didn't really care if people dislike what I do. I mean, you're welcome, be my guest. This doesn't change anything for me because I'm my worst critic anyway. So, I mean, if the critique is rational, I have no problem with it. If it is the kind of yapping about what's important in art, I'm really not interested, because everything is already done anyway. So me making this is just as important or not important as anything else happening. Right? Aesthetics, this is poetry. This is what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for poetry in the form of paint, and that is good enough for me. I don't need any more reasons to do what I do, and I think that people shouldn't try to find any reason for doing painting or art in general. They should try to do good work, have the objective standards of the greatest artists in the world and in history, and try to do their best to become a good representative for the human potential. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do, except from earning money, so I can lead a quite okay life. It's like I said, I'm really good at spending, but not good at earning. So with the PATRON thing, can really help if people start donating or adding themselves. Because then I can, if I get a quite well followers on Patreon, I can keep making these gifts bigger and bigger, more of them, and at the same time don't have to take so many commission work like portraits and stuff, which I actually earn quite well on them, but it takes a lot of time. So I would prefer being in a situation where I could say no, or choose advisedly. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have a break, so see you later. Okay. Just gonna build a little bit more texture and give it a that. Now you see that the light is hitting on this side, so you make it a little bit thicker there. I'll also work like this. I'm gonna work to make it a little bit different. There's so many things that will be done anyway. Now down here there's a more, the nice thing is very blue and the colors are quite, goes from the very warm to the very cold. That is always a good thing. That's also why I like to put some light on the objects, not just to get the sculptural reality into it, but kind of get the deep contrast between the warm and the cold. I think I started it out because I saw these classical paintings and I kind of tried to emulate what I was seeing, and that is why I started to use quite a crude lamp light straight on my objects. The biggest problems with it was actually with human models, because especially in the photographs they tend to become a little bit too warm. But then I found this tungsten film with a blue filter in it, which was just brilliant. Sadly, they don't make these anymore. It's really hard to get them evolved. So, yeah. Developed. Here too, just a light hitting here. Then there's a shadow down there. And the shadow goes all the way into the tip. So, yeah, it was quite hard finding the sweet spot with this one, because it kept falling over all the time. But in the end I found exactly where this is now. I found a spot to, so it's in balance, doesn't fall over. Well, it hasn't done yet anyway. So see, now I'm putting in the shadows. This is the easy part. That is why I kind of, when I see paintings who are basically sketches, I do see qualities in them, but I also feel sometimes like saying, well, nice sketch. So when you're going to start painting, but for some people that is enough, and people kind of like stuff a little bit simple and understandable. And if you're not a painter, you will have a hard time understanding the value of paint and why we go beyond what other people would see as finished. So yeah. So I say people are quite blind. They don't see what I see. You go to a big gallery or famous gallery, and you see these guides standing in front of these beautiful paintings, and they're talking about the history behind it and the motif and stuff like that. But there's not often they talk about the paint and the struggle and the main reason why the painters painted, which is actually the paint, and probably also, of course, the money. They need to live like everybody else. So, yeah. Ah, fuck, now my knee hurts. I need to stay away from the weight training. That was a big mistake I did this summer. I didn't focus enough on the stretching, and I stiffened up like a motherfucker. But then again, I learned, hopefully. So, I got the shape in, and it's like 7:30 in the morning. I'm trying not to be awake too long because I want to have some day, have some good rhythm. The funny thing, I am just tired of TV series and stuff like that. I don't crave it like I used to. I think I used to use it as a antidepressant. Like if I felt alone or something, I put on like 2 or 3 TV series. Now I feel more and more content with my life, and watching a TV series almost feels like stealing time from important things. And that is a really good thing. See, I see new things here all the time, and I will continue seeing new things here all the time. Yeah, now I'm just messing it up. So I'm just going to let it dry. There, boom. There's this one, this one. Yeah. That's a little bit wrong here, but there's not more than I can fix. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of shit happening in this. So, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna pick up some more white and put in a couple more spots. Some more clay, as I call it. It's so important with the high and low spots to see the differences in this. Is actually going to be quite smooth, but I need to put in some thick color anyway to kind of make it stick out from the other stuff. There, this kind of starts to look like something. Yeah. Now I see done some serious mistakes up here. Now you see how it kind of, the more I paint on it, the more I can adjust, because I start seeing more and more of the shapes and where I did go wrong as I go along. So this thing about sketching up stuff before you start, forget about it. That's my advice anyway. Okay, there's some stuff going down there. Yeah, this one. This is. Okay. Gonna try to get my ass to technique taekwondo training tomorrow. So I do need to go to bed soon. I need to stretch a little bit before I go to bed, so I'm not so stiff when I wake up in the morning. And my legs are cracking. See? You can hear it. Oh. See? Oh, funny, I can make that sound when I want to. It kind of pops every all the time when I don't want it to. Anyway. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. And yeah. I might think it's a little bit too much that way, and that might be true, but the point is that there's a shadow that's hitting there and kind of even up the balance. Now it's actually hard to rip myself away from this, because I start now to see more and more stuff. It doesn't matter, because I can't keep on piling on this wet paint anyway. So I'm just gonna stop. I think the sketch became quite nice. Not totally accurate, but nice. Yeah. Okay. Okay. As usual, this is layer number 2, and it has dried for a few days because I put on so much color. So now I'm going to put on the usual suspect, the lasur, which will bring up the textures in the painting. It's a small painting, so it's not that much ground to cover, but it's nice to have that fresh start and to start building. So yeah. You see here, this is blue, and always put in the reddish colors. So, which most of my objects, paintings, are in a way based on the scale of the reddish and the blue, the more warm colors. That's how I like it to be, so they get this. Oh fuck, that was a coon falling down. So to put it up again, it's very hard to find a balance point. Just gonna see. So just scrape it away. The surplus color. See how textures is just popping up. Anyway, it's good to have the color here because then it mixes with the next layer, so you get kind of a free lunch when you start putting it, the color in. It just mixes with the other colors. So yeah. So okay, did I find that spot? Yeah. Did I? Yeah. Okay. It's very hard to find that spot where it stays like that because of gravity. I hope it, I actually tried to put some tape on the other side of the coon to make it stand, but I didn't do that in the beginning. I just found that spot where it stands all by itself, balancing. It's very hard to find that spot. But if I used tape on the backside, it actually kind of lost the feeling of standing there balancing. Because when you paint a still life, you are also painting gravity and you're painting reality. So in a way you are painting the laws of nature into the painting. And if something is off, if something is, it can't stand like that because it will fall over. It doesn't feel right. So, yeah. So I had to really work with finding that spot, and I found it in the end. I just hope it stands for a while. If you hear a bang, it falls. And then I just have to find it again. Paint is just a second layer anyway, and I have quite a long way to go. So you see how I now build the textures, trying to follow some kind of directions, and that will be more clear when I get longer into it. But see that the coons are built in layers in the sea, so this pearly stuff, and I would like it to have some of that feeling when I'm finished with it. I don't know why I like very much to paint objects that stands alone. It's almost like every object in itself are a goal in itself. It's kind of a landscape or something, and I find them more personal. Is that the correct word? I don't know, personal, maybe that isn't all that correct, but when you have only one object, it gets more you get more personal with that object, and you want it to be that coon, not all the coons in the world, or a coon, but the coon. And that's where the difficult thing comes in, or the onion. I actually found one of the most amazing red onions I've seen today, so I'm going to paint new onion painting, but a red onion this time. I just went to the store upstairs actually to get some toilet paper, and then I saw this beautiful red onion that was exactly starting to grow a little bit, and I need to have that, and I paid 4 kronas for it. It's like $0.50, so it was a very expensive onion for an onion to be, but I'm going to turn it into a hell of a lot more than that anyway. So a $0.50 onion. Artist and painter Knut Vikshåland painting a $0.50 onion. Yeah, I'm silly. Silly Billy. Let's see here. Okay. See, I'm just going to build textures now. Try to build on. As usual, it's always the last layers that takes the most time, because then you start to go into the small details, and in the end it always becomes this big battle between me and the most insignificant things. The amount of light I feel comes out of it, or other stuff that can drive me nuts. So that is why I always go all the way, or try to go as far as possible, so that I push my skill wall for everyone I do. And there's nothing better to do than to train your eyes on still lifes, because you have to move this line now a little bit, because now it comes out here. I couldn't find the spot, so I guess I moved it a little bit. And I don't like cheating, so... Actually, it's better to paint what you see instead of fighting with things like, yeah, and then complete. Now it's bricks in the background, so when I see I have moved it, I just move the objects in the painting, so I don't have to kind of use my imagination around it more than, of course, I don't paint exactly what I see. I don't go all the way photorealist. I don't know if that's just because I can't or because I don't want to, but I like it to be correct. Yeah. Also don't want this video to be a 5-hour video. I have 2 now. This is a PATRON painting for my supporters on Patreon, which I am very much glad that it's starting to grow a little bit. I still don't even get half the price on this that I would get in a gallery in Norway, but I think it's worth it anyway. Because it's growing and maybe some time I will get the right price for it. Also, I never actually made a video of me painting a brick, and I never made a video of a self-portrait, and I haven't painted a self-portrait in many years. So it's time to pick that up again. I'm gonna start soon, and I should do 1 a month as a biography in a way of my aging process. That could be cool. Maybe even the same sizes. 80.80 centimeters or 70.70. It has to be a square. I really love the square. I don't know why I love the square so much, but I certainly do. It's something sacrilege. No, sacrilege. That's the sacrilege. It's something religious over it. I love the structure. I love symmetry. That's the word I was looking for. And for some reason, the square appeals to me immensely, more than both the portrait format and the landscape format. The square, there is something, everything is just kept in place in the square. And maybe it is my personality that like the feeling of control or whatever, I don't know. It's hard to know, but what surprised me is if me being in love with squares actually has to do with my personality traits. So I should try to find some knowledge about stuff like that. Maybe there is a link, so So if you're a psychologist, feel free to comment. Maybe an evolutionary biologist or something. Maybe there are something to it. I don't know. I'm using the word I don't know a lot today. But this I actually don't know, so that's why I'm using it. Know what you don't know. Know enough to know what you don't know. That's when you become self-confident, conscious. If you don't know what you don't know, or know enough to know what you don't know, you can't really know much. Because knowing is to know what you don't know. Because then you also know what you know. Yay! That was the philosophy lesson for today. And I'm gonna just keep painting, and I will film more later when I have gotten some more colors into this. I hope you enjoy my rants, because I do. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking to a person in the room when I'm talking, and in a way I do, because when you see this, you are a person basically in my room watching me paint. Yeah, okay. See you later. There's going to be a shadow here, by the way. There's some some cement pus on here, which has the more bluish color, and the shadow of the coon just pops right into that, and there's a lot of things happening around it, so it's going to be fun to see. That is why I told you that in the beginning of the sketching process, why I feel the coon and the bricks kind of have a lot in common, and why I like to often put them into the same paintings. So yeah. Okay. You see this red here, and that always kind of comes back as a reflection into the shadow area. Yeah, I fucked up a little bit there because I'm talking too much and I can't really tear myself away now, because now I'm starting to get into my more hyperactive state. I always do that when I'm painting. It's like dancing or fucking or whatever. Yeah, it's like dancing and fucking. Or training hard. Get this bliss. Oh, just love using my body in every way possible. So, and my mind. Blah blah blah. Okay. This turned into a fucking mess. But I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Yay. Been working for a while with it. Still a long way to go. So just keep on banging on. Some small details. It is, as I say, it is layer upon layer. And then I have to dry. Then I go back and I've been molding it back and forth, because as you know, I don't do any sketching first, so I have been moving stuff back and forth here quite many times. So when you do that, it tends to become a little bit messy, but then you start to find the right drawing style and not style, but the right shape and stuff, and you can start doing more of the molding, more of the detailed work. And that's when that's when it starts to become really time consuming. Especially when you go in with all the blue and the reddish and you try to keep that light alive. At the same time, you don't want to overdo it. And then the battle starts. And it doesn't matter how big or small the painting is, actually. The bigger it is, the more ground you have to cover. So of course it takes more time with the big one than the small one. But sometimes it's going to be really exhausting. Not right now, because I'm still molding. It's like I'm still doing the griselle in a way. But it's exactly on the point where I can start to put in these details. Raccoon. Funny to think about that. This is a living thing that has created this beautiful shape, and it's always the same shape, but no one of these are actually the same, and that's I guess it's the fascinating part of it. You can take a new one and a new one, and it's still a different painting, despite being a different coon. It's kind of oily, this canvas. Need to shake it up a little bit. I painted on it and I let it dry a little bit, and not enough to be able to put on the retouche on this, but enough that the colors doesn't kind of mix into one another. So that was a mistake, I think. The best thing is to make a whole layer, the whole thing, in one go, and then let it dry. Then you put the retouche vernice on, and start molding on top of that again. Multitasking like crazy tonight, so doing internet work and doing painting and doing everything at the same time. I need to get more. When I paint, I should only paint, and when I do computer work, like putting up pictures or social media stuff, I should only do that, because this multitasking tend to be a distraction. And it's so important to be able to get into that deep flow. That is when a painting can actually become good, because you use all your emotions, all your actually empathy. That's where empathy should be used. I think I'm going to start making some videos where I just talk about different topics, like 10 minutes about. I'm going to start with one about art, why I paint, why do anything, why do anything. It's a good question. So why paint? I mean, there's enough paintings to last 1,000 years, and most of them are men. Well, all the classic art, are much of it or most of it are better than most of us can create today. So we could actually ask why the hell paint at all when you look at what is actually made and the extreme skill. But then again, every human being is an island in itself, and we have a subject and a life to live. And if art or painting, I will say painting, or aesthetic work like writing or anything, gives you that good flow while living, I think it's important enough. And I think also that doing creative work in general very often make people into more sympathetic people. If you are able to reach down into the depth of yourself, you will be able to see more the greater value in others. Now, of course, historical facts contradict this, like Adolf Hitler and the artists that were actually complete assholes, like Picasso, which was in my opinion anyway, a raving sociopath, maybe even a psychopath. I mean, we all have a few sociopathic traits. But some people don't have any sympathy at all, and that is the worst kind. The petty ones, the people who only feel, who only give you compliments when they need you. Those fuckers. See, you're using black so much, how can you control? Well, you just have to keep painting over. And I just like to push things down, and then I just pull it back up. Yeah. The thing with the gravity is also quite funny, because you have to get the gravity right. Yeah. Okay, I think this is going to be a little bit higher. Sometimes the problem is the framing, because the framing takes a little bit off the painting, and if you're not careful, it's gonna affect the composition when you get the frame on. and I don't like delivering my paintings without nice framing. It's kind of like a window that you can look into. Fuck, painting makes me so happy. Saturday night actually, I just stayed home, I just went to work. I had some focus problems because of some personal stuff that happened actually a few years ago. Maybe I should make a video about that too. About falling in love, about how it can actually affect you badly when you really fall and it doesn't go your way. There was many other things too, but I kind of hit the wall. But it made me a better painter. I also think it made me a better person. But it has been a struggle coming back to feeling good about myself. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I have a video where I just talk about my love life, like the Song of Morrissey. The Smiths. Can't really sing anymore. So. I used to sing a lot when I was playing music, and I evolved a quite a nice voice, I was told, but now it's just horrible. So I'm not gonna sing for you. Anyway, so what I have to do is kind of start building all these small things that is happening in there. And you just, just keep piling on. So I don't want this video to become 5 hours long, because I have 2 now. This is a Patreon gift, so gift on Patreon. And I want it to be a little bit shorter. The video, not the painting. And next time I'll make a Patreon painting. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, because my Patreon is actually starting to grow a little bit. That's nice. So okay, see you later. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put another layer on the coon. I have changed a little bit, done some changes in the background and stuff to get more, so I have to put in some other stuff in front here. But the principle is the same. I go in, I put on the lasur. Actually, I had some retouché vanish on this first, and I let it dry for a while, like 10 or 15 minutes, so it would actually absorb the colors a little bit more. That is what happens when you put the retouché vanish. It kind of works in a way more as a glue. It glues the glues the paint into the canvas because of the harpiks, or the that is made of. And it also, of course, mixes with the retouché vanish. Okay, I want some more red just give it a bang. More of a, get some more color. You see here now. Now the color, the shadows, you can actually, when you have done the whole painting and you are kind of finished, you can get in and put a lasur on the shadows. So you just pull them more up and you get like that. But then again, I have a lot of painting to do on this. Anyway, I just want to show you. So maybe I'll do that in the end of the process. Now you see it has more attached to the surface than if I didn't use the Vikshåland. If I use only the oil, the linseed oil on the surfing can, as I usually do, it kind of falls more off. Now I've got some nice, I don't know if you can see it, but there's some nice textures and colors in here, which of course I'm going to paint over to get to the next stage. But it's nice to have that as a start. It's going to be warmer here, so I need to put in some. That's also what brings a lot of 3D effect to the painting, the obvious contrast between the warm and the cold. So, yeah. A little bit more. I'm using cadmium orange to that, but I see that it might be a little bit more towards the yellow. So I take some cadmium yellow, white, mix it with, then I put it on. And then I can actually work over it with other colors. But it always is kind of this way you see I'm painting. Actually on this I could now start using a brush that are more, that gives less texture, because there is a very soft surface here. But then again, a surface made of these, is it pig brushes, pig hair, has more, gives more life to the surface, so one just have to test out one's options and see what works best. If I use one of my more synthetic brushes, I can kind of flatten out the surface here, so the texture comes here, and it will also give more 3D effect on the more micro level. Now you see this is very softened down, and you get the working with the textures here. I'm gonna focus on it in the end of the painting. I'll show you close-ups of the different textures, so it's easier to understand. Same goes for this. Yeah. because in here it's very bright, but it's also okay. I became empty of battery, so I had to recharge my battery. And now some more painting. I have to fix this. I did some work, as you can see, while I was charging, but I have to move this up here also. Give it a little bit more foreground, because I changed some of the bricks it's standing on and stuff to, and some of the bricks to get more contrast into it. I felt it became too flat, so I added some other stuff. Some bricks. It's basically much of the same colors I work with when I'm painting bricks. It is on the darker side of the spectrum, and as you can probably see. And now I have to move the light and the shadow a little bit, because as I said, I did change some of the things here. Like this. Now we get more, I do get more contrast. And I also had to add, of course, both texture and colors into the brick here. And that is what I do. I just keep molding and molding and molding. In a way, I do the same thing as I said 100 times before. Do the same thing as nature does. It just, what the natural laws does, it just shapes things over time and gives it texture over time. You can see it in leaves in autumn, how they change, and you can see them in the beginning of summer, how beautiful they are, how fresh they are, and then during the process they become more and more full of character, and in the end all the sugars and all the photosynthesis has made its mark, and when they fall from the trees they have this, all of them have a little bit different colors, a little bit, because it's all up to the chemistry, what happens in the leaves when they were alive. That makes them look so the same actually, but also so different. like snowflakes falling. When a drop falls and is shaped to a snowflake, they all go through the same process, but on the way down they all meet different temperatures and different winds and different everything. So that's why every single one of them do look the same, but it's not two that are the same. Yeah, I find that very fascinating about nature and reality. There is nothing more interesting than objective reality and how incredibly fascinating it is to see how the laws of nature are shaping everything around us. Maybe that is one of the reasons I like to paint as I do, because I need to sharpen my skills and push my limits to reach the kind of presence that I like to see in my paintings. I will say my paintings are extremely subjective. It is basically the most subjective thing I can do, I think, because you can actually see it. When you have a finished painting, you can see all my subjective choices, conscious or not conscious. How do they have all the textures has just come alive from all the touching. Every time I touch it, it becomes something more. Sometimes I fuck it up too and it just becomes a mush. But then again, every setback can be a blessing. Now, atheist doesn't really use words like blessing that much, so yeah, it did actually shut up there for a moment. Did you notice? It's quite liberating, actually. Maybe I should do that more. paint. You see now I'm starting to build the different heights and yeah. So it starts with that rough sketch and then I just keep piling on, as you can see, and slowly it becomes something. Also important to give the surroundings some texture, some life. And I can see that that is a problem with a lot of actually quite good painters that I see on both YouTube and stuff. They do not go where the paint actually starts to matter. And that is in the textures, and they just always focus on the motif. And then strangely enough, it seems like the more crappish the shit is, the more people can identify with it. I have seen these videos on YouTube of obscenely bad work, which has hundreds of thousands of views. And they are praising these people as maestros, and they can't fucking paint. It's just bullshit. And it's depressing. I mean, if you compare it to the great painters of the world, it is like, I mean, I don't come near, but these people aren't even in the same tradition, or same, that tradition is wrong because then it explains away. It's just so crappy that I'm quite a good teacher when it comes to teaching people to paint, because I just tell them to paint. And I am a realist when it comes to how I view nature and existence and all this. So I go just right to the source. I tell them, don't try to be a fucking artist. You don't have to try to be an artist. You just have to learn how to paint. The artists are already in us, and we only need to learn the skill. And maybe some thinking could be good, but or some intellect and some knowledge. But it doesn't seem like, it almost seems like people want to be, they don't want it to be too good because it makes them feel bad. I don't know. But I have no idea how to explain it. Why people are falling for all kinds of fucking crap. And I'm not judgmental or anything, which of course I just were. I'm not pointing to a certain person but it's just, well, I'm gonna pick one thing. There was this Indian speed painter who was in this talents program, and he was standing there on stage and painting a face in a few minutes. But I mean, there was no substance, there wasn't any, it was just, if anyone can draw a face with a couple of pencil strokes, because our brains are literally tuned to see faces and recognize faces in everything. And this guy was a bad painter. He just had learned himself some techniques that he could paint something that looked like a face fast. And people are just screaming, he's so talented. Oh, he's the greatest talent in India. And he is so, I'm proud to be an Indian Muslim because, oh, Jesus, because this guy can paint a face that, oh gods. And it's just so bad. And I wrote on it, it was crap. Now, of course my comment doesn't matter at all. So, but I mean, I wouldn't criticize some amateur. They just want to try to do the best they can. I actually have a lot of sympathy for amateurs or for people who just started, because they're doing exactly the same mistakes that I did when I started, and I can totally identify with them. And everyone is doing the same mistakes in the beginning. It's unavoidable. The thing is that there are certain people, and I've seen it, that never gets better. They just don't learn from their mistakes. They do not, and I think that is a question of introspection. If you don't have an honest mind, you won't be able to see how bad it is. And of course it's hard to know if you have the right mindset, because it's hard to know if you're lying to yourself. So there we are, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't know if I'm one of them. That's really a bitch. Anyway, what I was saying was, I'm an extremely subjective painter. I do not know if what I do is good or bad. I have real problems judging with myself. It's basically almost like my body. I have been on a diet since I was 9 because somebody called me fat in school. Sometimes I succeed and sometimes I eat too much and I gain the weight again. But I never become complacent. I can never come to a point where I don't give a fuck about how I look. And that has been a lifesaver. This uncertainty that some scars on your soul gives you are a great tool to better yourself. And that is what I'm doing, trying to better myself. And it's exhausting actually to live like that, but it's a life I've chosen, so I guess I just have to stick with it until I run out of road, until I come to the final destination. Okay. I did change the whole stone, so I need to put in some different textures. Ooh. Yes. Just put on some cleaner yellows here. So I get a little bit more punch into the painting. Make some blue, some orange together here. You get that brick feeling. You know what I mean? And yeah, zoom. Okay, I can't really, I don't think I can film more now. This is also becoming a very long film. Well, okay, I am now going into basically one of the last layers, and I have to be quite careful. And I'm also going to use a little bit more subtle pencils. So now it's the point where I start using a more synthetic one, because on some areas, because I want to flatten this out a little bit and give it some more vivid light. So now I have to use my glasses sometimes, but depends what I have been eating. Okay, now I'm going to give it more light here. You see, I didn't put on retouché varnish this time. No, I put on a retouché varnish and not a lasur, because there was enough happening in the surface from before. So what I'm doing now is just starting to enhance stuff, the light areas. Areas. Pigeon. Yeah. I posted a video on YouTube just now. I took myself saying there was a time-lapse video of how to paint a pigeon, and I pronounced it pigeon. Pigeon. Well, that was a bad pronouncement of pigeon. A pigeon. It's called a pigeon, and this is a coon. I'm a little bit dyslexic, so I wasn't so good at grammar in school. But I had kind of a perfect pitch, so I could pronounce things quite well compared to other Norwegians, just talking English in a very strange way. Maybe my English also sounds strange, but at least I'm not talking a kind of Norwegian English. Anyway, you see, I'm gonna work with, and this is where it becomes time consuming, and this is the point where the painting becomes a real struggle, because you can enhance things to a certain level, and then you just go a little bit too far, and boom, it is just gone. And you have to do it all over again. And I can feel when I'm getting to this level where I'm going to do the last nice things that I'm more starting to struggle to start painting. When I do sketches, it's just no sweat, it's just dance, it's beautiful. But this is I'm not the kind of guy who are easily convinced that some work I've done is good, and I want it to be as good as possible, even when it's a small thing like this, what I would call a more insignificant piece of art, painting. But how do we make something this insignificant if you compare it to other great paintings in the world? Well, you try to create some poetry or add something good to the world. And trying to do your best. And I think that is one of the things that art can do actually for the world, is to show people what kind of potential there is in being born a human being, not a bat or whatever animal you want to talk about. The best thing about painting is the sketching process, the peace of mind that you can get from it. It's a perfect way to get into flow, which only great yogis and of meditation are able to come to. I remember once I was working on this exhibition, and I had been standing for so many hours painting. I have no idea, for days. And suddenly, and when you paint, your thoughts just flow, becomes fluid, and they just space off in a way. They go all kinds of directions. Past, future, dreams, love, everything. And I was kind of talking to myself inside my head, and I asked myself a question. And suddenly I could hear myself answering from the outside of my head. So that was what I call a short but strange psychotic experience. An out-of-body experience. A stranger thing that never happened again. That's a good thing, because I jumped. I could actually, it was like I answered myself. standing beside me. And that is what happens when you drink too much coffee and you don't get your food intake, and you just keep flowing, and in the end you just go so deep that you can actually hear your own thoughts from the outside. As I say, it never happened again, so... And it would be really annoying hearing voices. Like the guy in Beautiful Mind. That is strange. The guy who was played by Russell Crowe, the mathematic guy, he was in Norway and got a prize for something. Right after that, he and his wife died in a car accident. Isn't that strange? If the guy didn't come to Norway, my country, he would still be alive. Yeah, life is strange. And then you die. You won't remember your last memory. Memories can only be remembered because you can remember them in retrospect. Retrospect. This is those were. I like these ones. It's Da Vinci, and it's quite dynamic. Pig spine boost. And they are perfect for work like this. The end game work. Okay, I'm just going to put in some more light here. So enhance that shadow. And then I also put some more behind here. So I get more out of the... Oh, fuck. I had some... That's really important if you want to use your fingers. Don't have a lot of paint on them. I'm just going to screw it up for you. Yeah, okay. Then go up here. Start working with this. The shadows. That is how I keep on pushing the shapes. And in the end, becomes a painting. Really. Yeah. A little bit higher. Maybe. Like that. And this side. Shadow. Shadow. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off now and keep painting, and I'll see you later. So, as you can see, I've been working for a while, and I'm at that stage where I really have problems with getting to the place I want, and it is down to, so I can see the canvas is a little bit loose. It is down to such subtle brush strokes now, and it's almost kind of mind-boggling. Because I have been working with textures on the whole thing, and really trying to find the right hue. And the problem here, I chose some, and that can often become a problem. I chose some bricks that didn't have that much contrast, and that leaves me with the dilemmas that things seems to just flow into one another, and it's hard to get to reach the right shapes and stuff. But of course it's part of the struggle, so. There's some light coming out right there. And some light here. I think I have to let it dry and have at least one more layer, and maybe go even deeper into the textures. I'm thinking I also need to buy some smaller brushes so I can work with those extremely small details. You saw how fast I could actually do a sketch compared to how extremely time consuming this process is. And it's always the same thing. Actually, there's a light coming in there, so it kind of goes through some places. It goes through the, shines through it in a way, or the walls are thin, so the light actually goes through like this and creates some patterns inside there. That's quite nice. See, I kind of mix the different colors on the canvas as I put some blue in there. Therefore I get this deeper color. Then I take some cadmium yellow or even some red, and I just bounce it a little bit back up again, and that's how I go back and forth. And in the end you can go in with some cleaner colors to give it some bang if you want to. And I can also do that and then let it dry and just put a lasur on top of it. That kind of makes it feel like it's deeper in. The most time-consuming thing in a painting is all these small things, you know, that's going to glide into the background. You don't want too much lines. You can have put in lines, but it has to be very strategically, or you will lose the depth in your painting. And when you lose the depth, you lose the light. You cannot lose the punch in the light, the kick, punch. So, yeah. Now, all kinds of colors in it. Everything becomes so silent when I do this kind of work. My brain almost goes down into zero. It's just focusing everything into this little insignificant piece of art. It's funny. You know, I say insignificant for a reason. I don't say it because it's really, really insignificant. But it is insignificant compared to all the beauty in art, all the things that are created by the greatest artists who lived. It's kind of feeling insignificant in the light of the universe, or infinity, if you go and take it really far. I mean, then you are quite insignificant, and yeah. But then again, you are the only important thing, because if you weren't here, you wouldn't see the universe, and if no one were here, no one would see the universe. And since you are, as Carl Sagan did say, not just a part of the universe, but because we are made of the same stuff as the universe, you actually are the universe. So that gives meaning, or purpose, or a purpose maybe, but And that can also give purpose to your creative work, because every piece of art, almost a piece of shit, every piece of poetry has its own place, as every human being, if it could live out its potential, has a lot to give and contribute with in this short existence. It's funny to build these textures around here. So next time somebody asks you, why do you paint, or why do you do this, you can only tell them, why not? Do you really need a reason to ask why you should do art, or why you should do this, or why you should do that? It's almost the same as saying, why do anything? Why live at all? Why exist? When it's like, oh, why do you paint like that? It's almost like saying, why live when so many have done that before? Why exist? Why eat? Why do anything? That is why the why question is just a silly question. It's better to think about how to live, and how to live the best life, so you can actually have the best experience of being in existence. And also maybe, if you can, give something to other fellow primates, fellow human beings. Yeah, that was our Saturday rant. I have to make that video focused on, this why question, because actually it's a question I'm quite sick of, to be totally honest. You always get that, especially as a figurative painter, you can get that from everywhere. All the fat in time. Let's see now, I'm going to place this one here, this one there, this one and this one, and I'm going to call it today. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to go in with some very focused last brush strokes. And call it quits. This is our Patreon gift, so you can see, I wanted my patrons to see how much work I actually put into it. It's not done in a heartbeat. If you're gonna create something with substance, you really have to, you see, every time I build, every single time I touch it, I give it a piece of me, and I give it some more substance, I give it some more space, some more room, yeah. That is the point. This is the most subjective thing I can do. And it is also the most vulnerable thing for me, because I am not that self-confident, or to put it in other words, I'm not an arsehole. So, yeah. Next time it will be even more focused. I do feel that I am kind of on the right track here. When I have seen the paintings of what the fuck is his name? The surrealist. Was it no? Well, non-surrealist. Well, whatever. The one with a mustache. You know what I mean? For some reason I can't remember his name. Anyway, I saw some of his paintings in real life and I was so incredibly disappointed because he was so superficially painted. They were so flat and so without substance. Maybe I just saw the wrong paintings of him. Maybe it was a bad period. But it was so flat, so lifeless. I was so disappointed because I really wanted them to be full of substance and life and stuff, but no. The guy just, I don't even think he loved to paint. The fuck is his name again? Dali, Salvador Dali, of course. He was running around in his studio screaming, "The gold, the gold." He loved gold. Yeah, why not? Shouldn't talk bad about gold. Yes, there, you see that detail? That is what gives everything a life. And you have to work for a long time with a painting to start giving it that kind of life. And there's going to be a small crack up there, some small cracks down here, it follows the shape. And I will do that next time. Am I racist if I talk like this? I don't think it's funny. A friend of mine is, his parents is from Pakistan, and he always jokes with his accent from Pakistan and India, and it's so funny when he does it, because he kind of looks like some dude from Bollywood or something. His name is Faisal Baig. He's a great guy, physician, not religious. I don't even consider himself Muslim. He just consider himself human, like me. I don't give a shit about where people come from, or their origin, or their religion, or anything. The only thing that I care about when it comes to people is they treat other people nicely and try to do good works for. And he's a physician, so what other friends do, you know, from Turkey and from everywhere. And I only know good people. The one thing that brings us all together is the fact that no one of my friends who comes from other countries consider themselves or occupied with this horrible identity politics that is now poisoning, especially the left in politics, which I firmly used to be part of, which I can't identify with anymore because they've become so divisive and so full of shit about all this racist bullshit they preach. Everything is racist today. And if everything is racist, nothing is racist. Okay, I think that was maybe too far out there. That's also a problem when you start. What I'm doing now is to go deeper and deeper. But if I'm not careful, I'm starting to screw up. And things starts to die. I start doing mistakes. Okay, that was better, I think. The thing with a coon is that it has this, it's shaped by the forces of laws of nature, so it has to be correct in a certain mathematical form. Okay, you can have abnormalities, but usually you don't get so. You know that house would be in relation to the thickness of it. And right here I could choose between two things. I could make it longer, or I had to make it thinner. And it is actually thinner, so that's what I just did. Because I saw that I had fucked up a little bit. And that's where honesty comes in. You know, if I didn't do that, if I didn't stand here doing that struggle, which I'm doing now, and this is the real struggle, this is what I could get away with delivering half of this. And people say, oh, it's a coon, it's so nice. But no, I'm not like that. I want things to be full of substance and truth. So, I'm getting good at talking to a camera. Maybe this is my way of getting things off my chest. And hopefully sometimes I affect other people to maybe think just a tiny bit more over things. Think without prejudice. Try to follow facts and don't take consensus as truth. It's like Donald Trump. Everybody wants to hate Donald Trump. Because that is what one is supposed to do now. But what I did is something most people don't do. I went in and I studied the guy, and I listened to his speeches and I listened to what he says, and in the end I figured out that this person may sound a little bit, shall we say, uninformed. But when you start to study him and his results and what he has done and what he has been saying for years, you realize that he's actually quite smart. And that he's doing quite a good job. And that is despite that my bias, which is very anti-religious and anti-nationalist and everything, would not want to like him. But I do, because I studied. So, of course it's not flawless, not by a long shot, but it's also not what the media makes him out to be. And he certainly is no racist. So now you know. Okay, I need to let this dry, because it's really taking a toll on me now. Just going to put in some more light there. And yeah, the problem now is that the whole thing is wet, so I'm starting to fuck it up now. I can see it. I'm going too far. But then again, gives me a good beginning next time, because it has more texture, and I will put in some small points of light that will kind of give it that last. Maybe I'll paint Donald Trump, just for fun. Probably will lose half my viewers. It's so sad that the world is gonna be so. It's not natural for me to follow consensus. I really want to know what the fuck is going on. I just don't want to do this, take a placard, something say, and follow a bunch of hippie assholes just because they believe that everything they disagree with is racism or worse. Okay. Well, it is kind of getting there. And this was a long rant. Have a good one. Okay. Here we go. I think it's going to be the last layer of paint. I think I want to put some glasur some places, just a little bit, quite transparent, just to enhance it a little bit. see now all the textures are popping out, and it's a really lovely feeling actually to see how it just starts to come alive. It's not so much left actually when it comes to this. Just tone it down somewhere, then I bring up the most important things like the lights here and a little bit like that. The good thing about the textures now is that all the color I put on actually falls into all the cracks in all the, see now, all the brush strokes. It's always fascinating to see classical paintings where the painter has obviously done that to get that, to bring out the textures and the effect of texture. If you only paint and paint, it's just going to be quite dead. You have to dirty it up a little bit to get that feeling. Yeah. It's not really dirty though. That's kind of a wrong thing to say. It's just you see now I just pull it back up again. So okay, I'm just gonna get back some of the lighter areas. Reddish. Now the good thing is that the color I just put on is now mixed into the lasur, and you get some, well, you don't get it for free, yeah, you know. This one. So So that highlight, there's a nice highlight just in the right here. These things explains the shape. And okay. Okay, I'm silent now because I'm concentrating. I actually finished an apple today. This is also a PATRON gift. And finished an apple. That is also the PATRON just now. And really exhausted me because it was really difficult. It was red and difficult. And that's the thing about these paintings, you know, you come to that point where it's very hard to decide if you have done enough or if you are going to paint more on it. And the whole process becomes quite painful. See how I touch now? It's just almost just touching it, you know. Trying to just the weight and everything is important. The weight of the pressure you put into the brush. Everything is important at this stage. Gosh. See here how little I need to touch it to see if I can do some subtle detail. Like this. And this one is quite nice. It goes like here. That also like this. Like that. This one up here. And there. We have this one. I should put my glasses on. Okay. Yes. Ah, mamma mia. Yes. Okay. Well, I guess you get the point. I will keep that's too blue in there, so I need to change that color into some greenish thing. Yellow, green, neutral color. So first I do like this. I didn't see that blue. Why did I do that? It's hard to know. And there's different colors in there. They are blue and they are green, and so it's very different. Just have to try your best to see what it is. Because you don't want a hole. You don't want it to be empty. You just don't into shadows. You just don't put your black into it. You have to give it in a way that the actual color. That way, everything gets enhanced. Yeah, now it becomes bluish one, but a more neutral one. It's also important how you use your brushwork, that you try to see the directions. Then again, it can't just be also totally fluid, because then it has no substance. So when I've done that, I'm trying to give it some more texture, so it actually seems like there's something in there. Some more yellow, like this actually. Because that shines through. The thing is that inside here, that slippery stuff, I read somewhere it's the same thing as what pearls are made of. That's why it's so slippery. Slippery maybe. Anyway. Okay, I'm just going to paint for a while and film a little bit more. Yep. So, I am going to do some of the last things with this, and it's more like some of the details. So these this one, this one. I see the color is wrong. There's a stem or something. Now what I do then after this, I go in and I take some color and I kind of give it some you don't want it to be too drawn, so I like to take away some of the some of the lines. You don't want lines because it doesn't look natural at all. Actually, I think lines, if there are too many of them, kind of look like shit. If you want things to feel natural, you have to get rid of most of the lines. That's extremely important. It's funny, people don't see that. They don't think about that. And then one of the few things that are very important to learn is about lines. Okay. Look at drawings and paintings of Leonardo da Vinci, the best paintings of Jan Vermeer. You will have a hard time finding. You will find some strategic lines which are there to enhance shapes, especially in drawings. But in the more natural classical paintings, you will have a hard time finding any lines. Especially when when we are amateurs, we tend to see everything in lines, in concrete. I have some very old drawings, some of the first things I did, and I was like 21. I haven't been drawing then since I was 10 years old, and when I look at the drawings, it's so typical. It was so naive, and it was so, everything was lines, everything was symbols. And then slowly you start to wake up and understand. How it works. This is nice, I think. Okay, need some more light on there. So now you see how I'm spending my lights. So when people ask me how much time do I spend on a painting, yeah, right. You see the kind of work that goes into creating details and give it life, give it contrast, all the mistakes you do, all the frustrations, the agony. It is quite a task. I want my patron, when he gets this painting, I want that person who wins it to be happy. That's important to me. Is this nice? Remember to tell me. Okay, I'm just gonna give it a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more texture up here. And I think I'm gonna call it. Gonna say, well, this is good enough. Yeah, I have to do something there. I'm gonna buy some pencils tomorrow and some. I've been saying that for days, but I've been working all night, so I haven't been able to get to the store because I also need to sleep. If I don't sleep, I can't work, so it's kind of a catch-22. Right now I don't have any leverage when it comes to time, so because these paintings are going to PATRON or this, and I'm also working on a bunch of paintings going to an exhibition. So I just have to work like crazy. And it's every day is funny. I have this almost like a ritual, trying to get into it. I have to drink so many coffees. I have to go to the gym to get some social. I haven't been to cafe or out with friends for quite a while because of my work, but if I go to the gym, say hi to people, some exercise, it's okay. It doesn't need more than that for a while. But then I can't do like that forever, of course. That is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change my life. I've changed many things in my lives to make life better. And this last thing is to find some kind of concrete rhythm in my work schedule that I get the most out of my days in my years, because time is the thing I really don't have enough of in existence. So if I want to get something done before I leave existence, I really have to get my shit together. And I do work kind of every day, but I have been losing too much time in distractions, and I should always put the painting first. Socializing, training, everything like that should be the second priority, not the first. But then again, exercise is a good start on the day in a way, so and it's nice to see some nice girls and training. It's inspiring for my hormones. And hormones are very important for my work, so actually it's proven that if a man goes to the gym and he sees a girl or he works out quite hard, he gets a spike in testosterone, and if he spikes his testosterone, the work and restitution and the psyche becomes much better. So at my age, at 50, it's even more important that I see some do work out and get my daily dose of sweet girl with tights. Of course, I'm not the kind of guy who are hitting on girls in a gym. I don't do that. I would have felt that was very inappropriate. Just being in the same room, maybe sometimes even get a smile or a brief chat with somebody you've seen before can be a good start before painting. We are very driven of hormones and procreation, so we should not underestimate the power of the female sex. Girls really do have power over men, and most girls doesn't know how much power they have, and that's probably a good thing. Get some blue here, texture. Okay, I'm gonna paint a little bit more undisturbed so I can focus properly, and then I'm gonna sign it afterwards. Okay. Yay! I think that it's basically finished. It's hard to know exactly 100%. So what I'm going to do is to just sign it, let it dry, and I will reevaluate one more time when it has dried. So it's fun to stand on this. I've used an enormous amount of time on the 2 PATRON pictures today. I was supposed to sketch 2 more paintings, but it doesn't seem like I will be able to do that. I think I reached my concentration limit today. So hard to find the right point in a way. I have had the point where I thought I was finished many times. Then I just do a little bit more and bang, there you have a couple of hours more. And that's how it is doing these paintings. I really fight with them. Battle of the Ages. Take away some light here, so enhances it a little bit. Can hear my voice when I start to get really tired. And I'm getting tired now. Anyway, so zoom, zoom, zoom. And okay, I'm going to sign it. I'm going to stretch a little bit and might get some sleep. I only signed this KIV. If it's bigger paintings, I sign them with my full name. But on small paintings like this, I think it becomes, the signature just becomes too dominant. So the same thing actually. Yay! So it says K no, I'm sorry. Two, 0, A. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to wait with that sucker until it's dry. Or will I? Nah, fuck it. Okay. Try again. Okay. K dot A dot, I'm just going to write 18 just as well. You know, writing is quite hard for me because I'm a little dyslexic. So when I write and it's like having you looking, I'm getting stressed. Meh. No. No. It has to be smaller. So I'm gonna wait until, I'm gonna wipe it up. I'm gonna wait until it is dry because this is bullshit. So, okay. Get some nice texture. Okay. Just gonna do a small touch. Never-ending story. I keep hearing that song in my fucking head. Never-ending story. You know, the one from the 80s. This is kind of a never-ending story. And I've been working for such a long time now that the paint is just melting into one another. Okay, fuck it. Yeah. Take a look at it when it has dried. Okay, I think I'm finished, but I'm not sure. So there we are. Just gonna give it a touch up, a little lasur and signing. Just gonna enhance some of the shadows. As you see now, things kind of pops out more. Also use the other side, scrape off, make some textures in it, so it doesn't become too kind of stuffed. I call it stuffed. And yeah, I have to be careful now. Be careful. Something tells me to be careful. So okay, more spatial. Some bluish inside, all the way in here. I just take it all over, so in a way, and then I just shake it up a little bit. I'll see how the light here just can bang right up and gets more depth. I'll also put some underneath here. There. So I actually have seen this in paintings. I always wondered how they are able to differentiate between when they are restoring paintings, how they are able to differentiate between what is dirt and what is actually lasur. Kind of fascinating. You see, do I need more? I'm gonna put in some lights, a couple of highlights maybe. Yeah. A little bit up there. Just very careful. a couple of nice highlights. Like here. Oops. Be very careful. Or I will stand here for 3 more hours before I know it. It's quite horrible. It's nothing. Maybe I should get my glasses for work like this. Ah, shit. You see? That's what happens when you don't concentrate. Then everything turns to shit. Anyway. So maybe that should be. Just a tiny bit here. Should be good. And there's a little spot which will enhance things quite dramatically actually. And that is just a tiny light up there. Like boom. So this. Tiny point. Okay. So, is this good? Is this good? Maybe. That was a little bit too drawn. Yeah, I think this was good enough. Close enough, as I say. To have a little bit yellow right here. Yeah. Then tiny bit of reddish here. So now I actually feel like I should stop. I feel it's 3D enough. Yeah. So I will sign it, and that is, as you saw in the video, quite difficult. I will sign it K. Just a K. R. V. 18. Why is this so fucking hard? Oh god. That's difficult with small paintings like this. When you're signing it, trying to find that sweet spot so it doesn't take too much attention. Here's a smaller pencil. Okay. Okay. Boom. Up. Boom. There. Yeah. So, this sounds fine. Okay. Cool.